dear friends, welcome to the second part of the poem Snake. In the previous part, we have studied about the line by line explanation of the poem. I hope all of you liked that session. So, today we are going to cover the brief summary and also the important question answers. Okay, now let's start. Okay friends, the short summary of this chapter. This poem is about a human being's respect for an animal, which is quite strange because most of us just get scared at the sight of a snake. The narrator has gone to the water trough to fetch water to drink. He observes a strange visitor at the water trough, a snake. Because of his highly developed civic sense, the narrator prefers to allow the snake to quench its thirst. Because the snake was the first in the queue, the snake silently drinks water and observes the narrator intermittently. The snake appeared to the poisonous and the narrator instant reaction was a thought to kill the snake. But the real human inside the narrator wanted to treat the snake as some guest who had come to his water trough. The narrator enjoyed the beautiful creation of nature. Finally, when the snake was about to disappear into a dark hole, the narrator clumsily picks up a stick, hits the water puddle to create some clatter. The snake quickly disappears inside the dark womb of the earth. Having thrown the stick, the narrator feels guilty, the way the ancient mariner felt when he killed the albatross. The narrator is left with a sense of pity for himself. Okay friends, this is the end of the chapter, The Snake. Next we discuss some important question answers from this chapter. Question number 1. Why does the poet decide to stand and wait till the snake has finished drinking? What does this tell you about the poet? Answer. The poet, being a gentleman, lets the snake quench his thirst as it reaches the trough before him. He treats the snake with respect as it being a creation of God. This shows that he is generous and considerate. He feels honored to have the snake as a guest at his trough. Question number 2. In stanza 2 and 3, the poet gives a vivid description of the snake by using suggestive expressions. What picture of the snake do you form on the basis of this description? Answer. The poet gives a fascinating picture of the snake. It is a slim, long and yellow-brown snake with a soft, slippery belly and straight gums. It is fearless and harmless and drinks in a carefree manner. It enjoys drinking and feels satisfied just like cattle do. Question number 3. How does the poet describe the day and the atmosphere when he saw the snake? Answer. The poet says that it was a very hot day in the month of July, which is considered to be a hot month in Sicily. The atmosphere was filled with the shade and the strange fragrance of the carob tree that stood in the garden. Question number 4. What does the poet want to convey by saying that the snake emerges from the burning bowels of the earth? Answer. The poet is emphasizing the fact that the interior of the earth is very hot and dark. Most of the snakes live there in the deep, dark spaces. The snake is an uncrowned king of the inside of the earth because it lives there. Question number 5. Do you think the snake was conscious of the poet's presence? How do you know? Answer. The snake was not conscious of the poet's presence. We can conclude this from the poem where the poet says that the snake looked around and saw him also. Still, it did not react and continued its actions naturally. Thus, it was not conscious of the poet's presence. Question number 6. How do we know that the snake's thirst was satiated? Pick out the expressions that convey this. The snake's thirst was satisfied as it licked its lips, which indicated that it had drunk enough. The lines in the poem which indicate this are: he drank enough and lifted his head dreamily as one who has drunken, and flickered his tongue like a forked knife on the air, so black, seeming to lick his lips. Question number 7. The poet has a dual attitude towards the snake. Why does he experience conflicting emotions on seeing the snake? The poet is happy to see the snake at his water trough. He welcomes it as a guest and patiently waits for his turn to fill the pitcher. On the other hand, his inner voice keeps on urging him to kill the snake as it is poisonous. So he experiences conflicting emotions on seeing the snake. Question number 8. The poet is filled with horror and protest when the snake prepares to retreat and bury itself in the horrid black and dreadful hole. In the light of this statement, bring out the irony of his act of throwing a log at the snake. Answer. The irony in the poet's act is that while the snake was there at the trough drinking water, it was dangerous for the poet as it could bite him. At that time, the poet did not attack it, rather waited patiently for his turn. Later, when the snake was going back into the crack in the wall, it no longer posed a threat to the poet. At that time, he hit it with a log. This act of the poet is ironical. Question number 9. The poet seems to be full of admiration and respect for the snake. He almost regards him like a majestic god. Pick out at least 4 expressions from the poem that reflect these emotions. Answer. The poet's expressions and looked around like a god, seemed to be again like a king in exile, and due to be crowned again, reflect his admiration for the snake. Question number 10. What is the difference between the snake's movement at the beginning of the poem and later when the poet strikes it with a log of wood? You may use relevant vocabulary from the poem to highlight the difference. Answer. In the beginning, the snake trailed its body with slackness, but later, after being hit with a log of wood, it convulsed with undignified haste. This shows the difference in its movement. Question number 11. The poet experiences feelings of self-derision, guilt and regret after hitting the snake. Pick out expressions that suggest this. Why does he feel like this? The expressions which suggest the poet's feelings of self-derision, guilt and regret are: I regretted it. I thought how paltry, how vulgar. What a mean act. I despised myself and the voices of my accused human education. I wished he would come back. I have something to expiate and pettiness. He felt like this because he was guilty of hitting at the snake with a log of wood. Question number 12. You have already read Coleridge's poem, The Ancient Mariner, in which an albatross is killed by the mariner. Why does the poet make an allusion to the albatross? Answer. The poet finds a similarity between his attempt to kill the snake and the mariner's attempt to kill the albatross. They both were harmless creatures and were aimed at by the men mindlessly. Acts of the mariner and the poet were wanton, and so he makes an allusion to the bird. Question number 13. I have something to expiate. Explain. Answer. The poet considered himself guilty of hitting the snake with a log of wood in an attempt to kill it. He feels that he is like the ancient mariner who had mindlessly killed the innocent albatross bird. Just like the ancient mariner, he also wants to expiate for the sin he has committed. Okay friends, I hope all of you understood this chapter very clearly. We will meet again in the next video. Till then, goodbye.